All right. Hi, Brittany. How are you today?
I'm doing okay.
That's good. Well, I'm really glad you were able to make it today.
Yeah, me too. I'm still experiencing some of that anxiety.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. How's your anxiety been doing this last week?
I still get really fidgety and anxious, and I really just want to stay in my home. I don't want to go to any new places.
Mm-hmm.
It's just scary to go. I get anxious and nervous, and
Yeah,
I
that
don't
sounds like really inconvenient, to get things done.
yeah, it's really hard.
Yeah, I bet. Well, let's kind of talk about that a little bit. So, are you noticing if these feelings come on at any specific moments or specific situations?
Just normally when I go into new places, like I just started a new class and I get really anxious and I'm just thinking about not going back because I can't even concentrate on what's going on because I'm just so anxious and nervous.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I mean, starting a new class that's pretty anxiety provoking, but it sounds like it's kind of even becoming more difficult. You're not able to go to class, or you're just getting really bad anxiety.
Mhm.
hmm Any other types of situations that you're experiencing this?
Um, Even when I'm hanging out with friends, it seems like I'm getting really anxious and fidgety and I just want to avoid them. I try not to answer their text messages so that I don't even have to go with them because I just get so anxious.
Okay. So do you notice around like how long ago this started happening?
Mm, I would probably say maybe like a month or two ago.
Okay. Was there anything that was going on in your life that was really stressful, or any changes that were going on then?
Um, Not that I can think of, but I may be missing something.
Okay. Yeah, sometimes that happens. Even something small that we don't necessarily notice might have triggered the anxiety. So that's something we can kind of work on as we work together to see what that trigger was. It might give us a little more insight into what exactly is causing the anxiety.
Mm,
Um, how long does the anxiety last once you notice it starting to come on?
it usually lasts for a while until I'm alone again. It might get a little better as the time goes on, but really it's always there.
Okay. So what kinds of symptoms are you experiencing as you're feeling the anxiety?
I have trouble focusing on what others are saying to me. Um, like in class, I don't even know what the instructor's talking about because I'm just nervous about all the people that are around me.
Okay.
I get really fidgety. I can't really sit still,
hmm
stuff like that.
Okay. What about do you experience any sort of like breathing complications? Like some people hyperventilate.
Yeah, I start to breathe. I can feel my breathing speed up and my heart rate. It feels like is my heart's racing.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm sure that feels really scary when that's happening,
Yeah, it does.
especially in front of a bunch of people. Um,
hmm
that can kind of, even sometimes you might feel like that feeds the anxiety a little bit. So,
Yeah, I feel like everyone's watching me.
yeah. Um, all right. So let's kind of talk about this. Is, I guess, a more question is, does this happen also when you're doing regular things, like everyday things, like going to the grocery store or
Yeah,
um, okay, so it is.
that there's a lot of people.
Okay. Okay. So is this something that you want to try and work on and overcome?
Yes, because I really want to finish school. It's really important to me. And like I told you, I don't even want to go back to class because it's awful.
Mhm. Mhm. So is there anything that you have done that you've noticed has helped in the past with anxiety?
Just getting to be alone again.
Mhm.
Really thought of other things to do.
Okay. So we can talk about that a little bit, like what kinds of things that you can do that will help you in the moment.
Okay.
Um, And some of those coping skills might be different for each environment. You know, when you're maybe around friends, those coping skills might look different than when you're in a classroom, since they're different settings. But we can kind of explore that, and you can kind of, you know, test those things out and see if it's, you know, a coping skill that will help you. So as far as, you know, I know you're saying it's making it difficult to go to class. Are you able to, you know, do things to like meet your needs, like get groceries? Or do you have enough food in the home?
Yeah, I'm not struggling in that area. It's
Okay.
not a good time to go and do those things, but I typically get through them.
Okay. So I know one thing that might be able to help, at least until we, you know, can kind of work on the anxiety and get it under control, is maybe try going to the grocery store at like lower business hours. So, you know, usually the grocery store is really, really busy at around 5 o'clock when people get off work and everyone's going there. So I'm not really sure what your schedule looks like every day, but finding times that maybe you've noticed that there are less people in the grocery store, so you won't feel as overwhelmed.
Yeah, I could probably go early in the morning. I've been before and there's not as many people, so that might help me.
Yeah, yeah. And have you noticed if the anxiety is lessened if there's someone there with you?
Um, I've never really tried that.
Okay. Yeah, so maybe that might be helpful if there's a friend or a family member that you trust, that you feel comfortable with, maybe asking them to come along with you. And kind of as we work on those coping skills, even asking them if they're willing and if you feel comfortable, asking them to kind of remind you about those coping skills if they start noticing that you're getting that anxiety.
Okay, I could do that.
So that would be good. And in the classroom, what's the classroom setting look like?
Um, there's probably 15 of us with one instructor.
Okay.
I try to sit in the back so that I don't feel like they're watching me as much.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I've tried something, but I just feel like when my heart starts to race, they start to turn around and look at me, and they're probably not.
Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of the anxiety, you know, it's a lot of it is internal. A lot of times people don't even notice when someone is experiencing anxiety, but that's part of the anxiety, is feeling anxious about people thinking that you're anxious or knowing that you're anxious. But you're right. Majority of the time, people around us don't even know that that's what's going on. So try and remind yourself of that too, that a lot of it is just the anxiety talking, and that, you know, other people aren't necessarily noticing that, that's happening. Um, is part of the class grade, is it include participation where you're supposed to be, you know, answering questions and discussing?
Yeah,
Okay.
the instructor really hasn't gotten on to me about not answering questions at this point, but we're pretty new to the class, so I don't know if it's going to become an issue later.
Okay. Do you think maybe talking to your instructor about it, is that something you feel comfortable doing? Just letting them know that this is something you're struggling with, but yeah, you're working on it, and just so that they can keep that in mind, so they don't think that you're just not participating.
Yeah, the instructor seems really nice, so maybe if I get there before class one day, I can just step in and talk to him.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Okay, so I think maybe making a goal for yourself of, you know, talking to the instructor, letting the instructor know kind of what's going on, and then making a small goal for yourself. So, how often are you going to class a week?
Just once.
Okay, so maybe looking at, for next class, maybe giving yourself a small goal of um, participating in class. So we'll kind of talk a little later on in this session. We'll talk about some coping skills you can use while you're in class, but making yourself a small goal that, oh, maybe during this class period, I will raise my hand and participate once in this class period. Or even if that feels really overwhelming, in the next month, I will raise my hand at least once to participate in class.
Yeah, I could probably do it within the next month.
Okay. And so and then as you're doing that, and then practicing those different coping skills that we talk about later on in the session, seeing which one is most helpful in the moment, and then kind of keeping a mental note of that, is seeing like, okay, which coping skill's working, and we can kind of up that the number of times you do that each time, and just kind of discussing like, well, how did that feel, and which coping skill was most effective.
Okay.
Does that sound good?
Yeah. Sounds
All
good.
right. Perfect. Well, we'll go ahead and just a minute start getting those coping skills written down, and we can keep moving forward. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Okay, great.